Hello. Road to GH will reveal a long, exhausting day at the hospital had left Willow drained, but she pushed through, determined to finish her shift. As she was organizing patient records at the nurse's station, a familiar figure caught her eye in the hallway, Sasha. At first, Willow didn't think much of it. Sasha had every right to be at the hospital, but something about the way she carried herself seemed off. She looked anxious, glancing around as if she were trying to avoid someone or hiding something. A strange, uneasy feeling crept into Willow's chest, but she quickly brushed it aside. She had more important things to focus on, at least, that's what she told herself. But then, as Sasha hurriedly left the waiting room, she didn't notice her phone slipping from her bag and landing on the chair. Willow froze. Her eyes darted around, but no one else seemed to have noticed the forgotten device. A war raged inside her. She knew she shouldn't invade someone's privacy, especially not Sasha's, but the lingering suspicion wouldn't leave her alone. Her fingers hesitated before finally picking up the phone. The screen lit up with a notification. A message. From Michael. Willow's breath caught in her throat. Her pulse quickened as she swiped to unlock the phone, her hands trembling as she navigated through Sasha's messages. What she found made her stomach twist into knots. The inbox was filled with exchanges between Sasha and Michael, messages laced with intimacy and secrecy. Sasha had been writing to him often, sharing her thoughts, her emotions, and worst of all, her hopes for their future together. But the final blow came when Willow scrolled further and saw the attachment, an ultrasound image. She clicked on it, her heart pounding. The message accompanying the image read, "Our baby is growing every day. I can't wait for you to meet our little one." Willow's blood ran cold. Her fingers clenched around the phone as she struggled to breathe. The betrayal felt like a knife to the chest, twisting deeper with every word she read. Not only had Michael betrayed her, but Sasha, her supposed friend, had been lying to her all along. Sasha wasn't just another woman trying to steal her husband. She was carrying his child, planning a life with him, while Willow had been left in the dark like a fool. Tears welled in her eyes, but rage quickly burned them away. She scrolled further, scanning the messages. Sasha had been sharing every detail of her pregnancy with Michael, speaking to him as if they were already a family. Michael hadn't outright reciprocated the enthusiasm, but the fact that he hadn't stopped it, hadn't put an end to it, was enough to confirm that he had been complicit in this betrayal. The pain was unbearable, but Willow refused to crumble. No. She wouldn't be the victim in this story. If Michael thought he could lie to her, and if Sasha thought she could replace her, they were both mistaken. A dark thought surfaced in her mind, a plan forming with terrifying clarity. If Sasha had been playing games, then Willow would play to win. She would make Sasha pay. Willow wasted no time in setting her plan into motion. The anger and betrayal burning inside her fueled her every thought as she carefully crafted a way to destroy Sasha. She refused to let the woman who had stabbed her in the back walk away unscathed. If Sasha thought she could manipulate Michael and trap him with a child that might not even be his, she was gravely mistaken. Willow knew exactly how to break her. Sitting at her desk, she took a deep breath and began writing a letter in Carly's name. Every word was calculated, designed to shake Sasha to her core. She made sure to mimic Carly's tone perfectly, infusing the message with authority and an undeniable sense of accusation. In the letter, she claimed that she had uncovered the truth, that Sasha's child was not Michael's but Cody's. She painted Sasha as a liar, someone who had deliberately deceived Michael, trying to force him into taking responsibility for a child that was never his to begin with. She warned that the truth was about to be exposed and that there would be severe consequences if Sasha continued to play her games. Every sentence was laced with subtle threats, making it clear that Sasha had no way out. Once she was satisfied with the final version, she printed the letter, ensuring that it was untraceable, sealed it in an envelope, and arranged for it to be placed where Sasha would find it. It did not take long for the letter to reach its intended target. When Sasha opened it, her hands trembled as she read the words that shattered the illusion of control she had desperately clung to. Fear tightened in her chest as panic set in. The letter was filled with accusations so sharp and precise that she could almost hear Carly's voice in her head. The mere thought that Carly knew sent her mind spiraling. If Carly had discovered the truth, then how long before Michael did? How long before her carefully constructed web of deception fell apart? Her heart pounded as she desperately tried to figure out who could have betrayed her. The overwhelming fear of losing everything made her act without thinking. Sasha immediately reached for her phone and dialed Michael's number. Her desperation made her voice shake as she begged him to meet her in person. She refused to discuss it over the phone, terrified that any further delay would cost her the only chance she had left. Michael, caught off guard by the urgency in her tone, reluctantly agreed, unaware of the storm that was about to descend upon him. When they finally met, Sasha arrived looking pale and distraught, her hands clutching the letter like a lifeline. Without hesitation, she thrust it toward Michael, forcing him to read the words that had sent her into a state of panic. His eyes scanned the accusations, and with every line, his expression darkened. The weight of the words bore down on him, each sentence stripping away what little patience he had left. The idea that Sasha had deceived him in such a way, that she had tried to manipulate him into taking responsibility for something that might not even be his, sent a wave of fury through him. Anger and frustration built inside him as he realized how deeply entangled he had become in something he never intended to be a part of. The betrayal, the deception, and the mess of emotions he had been suppressing finally reached their breaking point. He felt like a fool for ever allowing himself to be dragged into Sasha's chaos. He had spent so much time trying to make sense of his feelings, trying to handle things the right way, only to realize that he had lost control of everything. Whether the accusations in the letter were true or not no longer mattered. The mere fact that his name was now tangled in this web of lies and manipulation was enough to make him want to sever ties completely. Sasha's fear grew as she watched Michael's expression shift from shock to anger, his body tense with frustration. She had hoped that he would fight for her, that he would defend her, that he would believe her over the words in the letter. But as she stood there, waiting for any sign of reassurance, none came. The silence between them grew heavier, suffocating, until it became clear that she had already lost. Michael's decision had been made in that moment, and there was no turning back. Sasha felt everything crumble beneath her. The future she had envisioned was gone in an instant, replaced by the harsh reality of rejection and abandonment. The desperation that had driven her to reach out to Michael turned into despair as she realized that she had been defeated. The weight of it all bore down on her, leaving her with nothing but the consequences of her own actions. Somewhere, hidden in the shadows of the chaos she had created, Willow allowed herself the smallest of smiles. Sasha had finally lost, and it was exactly as it should be. Willow never imagined that her marriage to Michael would fall apart so quickly. What had once been a picture of happiness and stability had turned into a tangled web of secrets, deception, and heartbreak. The distance between them had grown insurmountable, not only because of the struggles they had faced but also because of the betrayals that had festered in the shadows of their relationship. Willow herself had not been faithful. She had sought solace in Drew's arms, indulging in stolen moments of passion, convincing herself that her actions were justified. She told herself that Michael had been distant, emotionally unavailable, and that her infidelity was merely a consequence of his neglect. But what she had never expected was that Michael, the man she had betrayed, had been hiding an even bigger secret, one that involved her best friend, Sasha. Before Michael had learned about Willow's betrayal with Drew, he had made a mistake of his own. In a moment of weakness, he and Sasha had spent the night together, blinded by their emotions and the comfort they found in one another. What should have been a regrettable lapse in judgment quickly turned into something far more complicated. The worst possible outcome had become a reality: Sasha was pregnant. Michael had known the truth from the beginning, but instead of confronting the situation, he had chosen to bury it. He refused to tell Willow, knowing that the revelation would destroy whatever was left of their marriage. He hadn't even confided in his family, fearing their judgment and the consequences that would follow. Rather than dealing with the fallout, he had kept his involvement with Sasha a secret, exchanging letters and messages with her in private. Their conversations had been filled with hidden meanings, careful wording, and silent agreements about how to handle the situation. They had discussed the future of the child, the necessity of keeping their connection quiet, and the measures they would take to prevent the truth from coming to light. For a time, they had managed to keep their secret well guarded. But no lie could remain buried forever. The day Willow discovered the truth, everything came crashing down. It happened when she was at work at the hospital, going about her usual routine when she unexpectedly crossed paths with Sasha. Something about the way Sasha carried herself that day unsettled Willow. There was an unusual nervousness in her eyes, a hesitance in her movements, as though she were hiding something. Willow tried to shake off the uneasy feeling, convincing herself that it was nothing. But fate had other plans. Sasha, in her distraction, had left her phone behind in the waiting area. Willow noticed it lying there, the screen still illuminated from a recent notification. She hesitated, torn between the moral obligation to return it and the overwhelming urge to see what Sasha had been hiding. She knew she shouldn't invade someone else's privacy. She knew that this was a line she had no right to cross. But something deep within her told her that if she walked away now, she would regret it. Unable to resist, she picked up the phone. The moment she unlocked the screen, she was met with a sight that sent a cold chill down her spine. A message from Michael. Her breath caught in her throat as she opened the conversation, her fingers trembling as she scrolled through the texts. What she found made her blood run cold. There were messages, intimate, private messages between Sasha and Michael. Sasha had been writing to him constantly, pouring her heart out, confessing her feelings, speaking of the life they could have had together. But the most devastating blow came when Willow stumbled upon the ultrasound image. It was attached to a message that read, "Our baby is growing every day. I can't wait for you to meet our little one." The words burned into Willow's mind, each one another knife plunging into her heart. The realization hit her with the force of a tidal wave. Michael had been lying to her. Sasha had been deceiving her. The two people she trusted most had betrayed her in the cruelest way possible. Her entire body trembled as she continued reading, her hands gripping the phone so tightly that her knuckles turned white. She scrolled through message after message, finding undeniable proof that Michael had been keeping in touch with Sasha behind her back. Though he had not outright declared his love for her, he had allowed the connection to remain, had entertained Sasha's fantasies of a future together. He had never put an end to it. He had never told Sasha to stop hoping. Rage unlike anything she had ever felt surged through Willow's veins. The pain was unbearable, but the anger quickly overtook it, consuming her, leaving no room for anything but a burning desire for revenge. She had been a fool to trust them, but she would not be a fool any longer. Michael had lied. Sasha had betrayed her. And now, they would both pay. Everything Sasha had once hoped for turned to ashes in an instant. She had not only lost Michael but had also been pushed into a state of utter despair by Willow's calculated revenge. It felt as though the entire world had turned against her, leaving her stranded with no one to lean on. The secrets and lies she had tried so desperately to conceal had now become her downfall, a double-edged sword cutting into her from every direction, dragging her deeper into an abyss with no escape. She had thought she could control the narrative, that she could manipulate her way into Michael's life and secure a future for herself and her child. But now, all of that was gone. Willow, watching as Sasha's world collapsed, knew that she had won. But she wasn't done yet. This was not just about Sasha paying the price for her betrayal, this was about ensuring that Willow emerged victorious, that she regained everything she had lost, and that no one, especially Michael and Carly, could stand in her way. With Sasha out of the picture, Willow saw the perfect opportunity to solidify her position. She had successfully dismantled Michael's relationship with Sasha, severing any lingering ties between them. Now, with Michael consumed by his own anger and regret, Willow could redirect the narrative, positioning herself as the only stable and trustworthy figure in Wiley and Amelia's lives. She would ensure that Michael and Carly had no leverage against her, no reason to challenge her rights as their mother. The chaos she had orchestrated worked in her favor, painting her as the responsible parent while Michael was left struggling with the fallout of his own mistakes. At the same time, Willow saw this as the perfect moment to fully claim Drew for herself. With Michael's betrayal exposed and his credibility shattered, Drew was the one person she could turn to for support, the one man who had always been there for her. The intimate bond they had shared, which had been shrouded in secrecy, could now be brought to light without fear of judgment. Michael had lost the right to question her choices. He had deceived her first, and now, she was simply embracing what she deserved. Everything was falling into place exactly as Willow had planned. Sasha was ruined, Michael was powerless, and Carly, who had always tried to control everything, was left with no argument strong enough to challenge Willow's position. Wiley and Amelia belonged with her, and there was nothing anyone could do to take them away. Willow had turned the pain of betrayal into her greatest weapon. She had played her cards flawlessly, ensuring that everyone who had wronged her paid the price. Sasha had been destroyed, Michael had been cast aside, and now, Willow was free to take the life she wanted, with Drew by her side and her children firmly in her grasp. No one could stop her now.